Let me ask you something. When you got paid last week, where did that money actually go? Not where you planned for it to go, where it actually went. Because if you're like most people right now, it went to rent that went up again, groceries that somehow cost more than they did 6 months ago, a credit card minimum payment, maybe a car note, and then somewhere in the blur of daily life, it just disappeared. And at the end of the month, you're sitting there wondering why, no matter how hard you work, the number in your bank account barely moves. Here's what nobody tells you. The problem isn't your income. It's that you were never given a formula. Wealthy people don't just earn more and hope for the best. They operate their money on a specific structure, a deliberate split that tells every dollar where to go before it even lands in their account. And today, I'm going to break down exactly what that structure looks like. It's called the 15-65-20 rule. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the people getting ahead in 2026 aren't necessarily making more than you. They're just running a completely different playbook. My name is Ryan, and I help everyday Americans figure out how to actually build wealth in a system that seems designed to keep them spending. If that sounds like something you need right now, subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. It helps more people find this information. Before we get into the numbers, I want you to think about something. When a doctor wants to get healthier, they don't just eat less and hope. They follow a specific protocol. When a coach builds a championship team, they don't just tell players to try harder. They run a system. Money works exactly the same way. Most of us were never taught a system. We were just handed a paycheck and told to be responsible. And then we wonder why responsible feels like it's never enough. The 15-65-20 rule isn't some secret rich people are hiding from you. It's a framework. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's start with where most Americans are actually at right now, because context matters here. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the personal savings rate in America right now is sitting around 4.6%. That means for every $100 people bring home, less than $5 is being set aside. $5! Now, before you feel too judged by that number, understand that we are living through one of the most financially brutal stretches in recent memory. Inflation has pushed the average American household's annual spending past $77,000, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's up thousands of dollars from just a few years ago. Groceries alone are running families nearly $800 a month. Rent in most mid-size American cities is sitting at $1,500 to $2,000 for a basic apartment. And if you're carrying any credit card debt, which according to the Federal Reserve, the average household is to the tune of over $10,000, you're also bleeding somewhere between $150 and $200 every single month in interest alone. Just interest, not paying anything down, just keeping the bank happy. Think about that for a second. $200 a month in interest payments is $2,400 a year that built you absolutely nothing. That's a flight to Europe. That's 3 months of groceries. That's money that will never come back. And here's the thing that makes the 4.6% savings rate even more alarming. That number includes people who are saving aggressively and pulling the average up. The reality on the ground for most working Americans aged 25 to 40 is closer to saving almost nothing consistently, which means the gap between where most people are and where the 15-65-20 rule says they should be is enormous. But that's exactly why this formula matters so much right now. So what is the 15-65-20 rule? Let me break it down simply. The idea is that every dollar you bring home gets divided into 3 buckets with intention. 65% goes to your living expenses, housing, food, transportation, utilities, everything you need to survive and live your life. 20% goes to building wealth, investments, retirement accounts, index funds, assets that grow. And 15% goes to financial defense, paying down debt, building your emergency fund, and protecting yourself from the unexpected. That's it. 65 for living, 20 for building, 15 for defending. Now here's where it gets interesting and honestly a little uncomfortable. According to a 2024 bank rate survey, nearly 57% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency expense without going into debt. Over half. In the richest country on earth, more than half of us are one busted transmission or one urgent care visit away from putting it on a credit card. That's not a willpower problem. That's a structural problem. Most people have no financial defense bucket at all. They're running their money like a car with no spare tire. It works fine until it doesn't. The 15% defense bucket fixes this. If you're bringing home $3,500 a month after taxes, which is roughly what a $55,000 salary looks like in 2026, 15% of that is $525, directed every month toward killing your high-interest debt first, then stacking a 3-month emergency fund. Within 18 to 24 months, the financial floor under your life looks completely different. You stop making panic decisions. You stop paying the bank $200 a month to go nowhere. You create breathing room, and breathing room changes everything about how you handle money. Now let's talk about the part that most people get backward, the 20% wealth building bucket. The Vanguard 2024 How America Saves report found that the median 401k balance for Americans between 35 and 44 years old is around $35,500. For people between 45 and 54, it's about $87,000. And while those numbers might sound okay on the surface, here's the gut punch. If you retire at 62 with $87,000 saved and follow the standard 4% withdrawal rule, that's the financial planning guideline that says how much you can take out annually without running out of money, you'd be drawing about $3,480 per year from your retirement accounts. That's $290 a month. In a world where a basic health insurance plan for a retiree can run $600 a month before copays. And with Social Security's trust fund now projected to face funding pressure as early as 2033, banking entirely on that check being what it is today is a risk most people aren't fully accounting for. The 20% building bucket is the antidote to that math. On that same $3,500 take-home, 20% is $700 a month going into wealth-building assets consistently. If you're 30 years old and you invest $700 a month into a low-cost index fund, averaging 8% annual returns, which is below the S&P 500's historical average, you'd have roughly $2.1 million by age 65. Not $87,000, $2.1 million. Same income, different system. But here's the piece that makes the whole formula work, and it's the one most people completely ignore. The 65% living expenses bucket isn't a number you hit passively, it's a ceiling you enforce actively. And right now in 2026, with buy now, pay later options on every checkout page, with subscriptions silently draining $20 here and $15 there, with car dealerships pushing $600 monthly payments on vehicles that depreciate the second you drive off the lot, that 65% ceiling is getting blown through daily by people who don't even realize it's happening. If your living expenses are eating 85 or 90% of your income, there is simply no math that makes the other two buckets work. You can't save your way out of overspending. The ceiling has to come first. Look, I know some of you are watching this and the 15-65-20 split feels impossible right now. Maybe you're dealing with student loan payments that restarted this year on top of everything else. Maybe your rent just went up and you have no room to maneuver. I get it. This isn't me telling you that you're doing it wrong. This is me saying that even moving 5% of your current spending toward one of these buckets, just 5%, starts to shift. On $3,500 a month, 5% is $175. That's not nothing. That's the beginning of a different financial story. The fact that you're sitting here right now trying to understand how money actually works already puts you in a different category than most people around you. Most people will never look this stuff up. They'll just keep spending and hoping. You're not doing that. You deserve better than watching your paycheck vanish every month with nothing to show for it. You deserve better than reaching your 50s with an emergency fund of zero and a retirement account that wouldn't cover 2 years of basic living. The 15-65-20 rule isn't a theory for people who earn more than you. It's a system that works on the income you already have, in the economy we're actually living in right now. Wealthy people aren't lucky, they're structured. And now you have the structure. The only question left is whether you're going to use it.